you.
Well, good morning. My name is Professor David Lurcher from the School of Information at San Jose State University. And today I am more than delighted to welcome Rosalyn Washington, Dr. Rosalyn Washington. And Rosalyn, would you please introduce yourself and your position in the university which you teach?
Okay. I am Rosalyn Washington. I'm a proud educator of 25 years. Began my career in elementary education as an early childhood educator, teaching pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, and as a reading specialist, teaching K1 to 5. After that, I moved to the district level at Atlanta Public Schools, and I was a digital learning specialist for language arts and literacy. So again, getting a chance to really work with instruction and pedagogy and literacy. I then became an adjunct professor at Georgia State University, where I taught research, measurement, and statistics coursework in the Ed Policy Department. That's my home department where I went to school. And from there, decided to go into academia full-time. And I'm now an assistant professor at the University of Delaware, teaching in the Human Development and Family Sciences Department, specifically in the early childhood education program.
Ah, that's wonderful. So
Yes.
tell us how you got interested in helping professionals in the school measure and demonstrate their impact on teaching and learning.
Well, as a career educator of 25 years, having spent all that time in the pre-K to 12 school setting, I understand how essential it is for educators and school leaders to set relevant and timely goals to support the valuable work that educators are already doing with students, and then perhaps to set some goals to provide professional development for teachers based on those goals. And it's especially important to see if our instructional paths are on course and if students are engaged and learning, because really, Dr. L, I believe that at the foundation, student engagement and student learning are equity issues. So looking for trends and patterns to address student engagement and student learning is essential.
So what type of professionals in the school have you worked with on doing this kind of analysis?
Okay. Usually when I'm offering professional development trainings, the people who come out who are eager to create attractive data visualizations to tell their stories are school leaders like assistant principals, instructional specialists, media specialists, many educators looking to glean information from the large sets of data that they have access to. As you and I know, we are almost in data overload. And so taking time to talk about how to present your story succinctly and attractively is really helpful to school leaders.
That's great. And so you have a very clever way of assembling that data in a presentation and that is designed to storytell. And so I wonder if you'd describe that and maybe show us an example.
Okay, certainly. I will describe it and share an example. All right, I'm going to share my screen. And so on your slide, you see a very attractive data dashboard that I created right here in Google Slides, because it's essential for us to know that it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. We can create data visualizations to convey the information we need to convey, to tell our own story right here with the tools that we already have. Here's Google Slides. And if you notice, what you see here are literally shapes that I have built out in Google Slides, overlaid with some text boxes. So I'm conveying really important measures, really important information. And then I have simply dragged in, oops, let me move this. I have simply dragged in some charts from Google Sheets. So I have created them in Google Sheets. I have copied them in here, and I have resized them to fit into my data dashboard. Down here, we've got room for a little narrative data. And again, this begins to tell the story of instructional coaching for a special education program for the 2022-2023 school year. Let's look at another data story. This data story here is for fall 2022, and here we're getting a snapshot of grad school data. Again, we'll see that I'm simply using Google Slides, some quick and easy shapes, okay, some text boxes to fill up space, leaving some white space, using my school colors. Let's say that our school colors were purple and gold. And here outlining some really important information about maybe the number of master's students, the number of doctoral students, varying it up with 2 types of font, okay? And then one large chart that's going to convey an essential piece of information, the number of students that applied, were admitted, and placed deposit. Again, a great snapshot of grad school data. And then if we needed to convey some more data, we would simply add another slide, again with a shape or a text box, okay? And a few key pieces of information. And Dr. L, you'll notice that I'm keeping it kind of simple on each slide. I live by the rule of 9. Try to convey around 8, no more than 9 pieces of information on each visualization. So if we count these, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And really, that's enough. Right? Then sometimes when you are presenting, you'll need to be able to share a little more information with your audience, maybe some of your raw data. You can simply create a shape or a text box, which is then going to link out to the raw data set or the larger set. And I did that simply by hyperlinking. Simply Control K and hyperlink with the link to the Google Sheet. So you don't need to feel pressured to convey a whole lot of data in one place. Again, just a simple shape or word text box, which can then link out to your raw data or your larger data set, allowing you to focus in your data visualization on just that data that matters in the moment to convey your story and start a conversation. Again, this then would be a 3-part data story, 3 simple slides conveying quite a information about grad school, a snapshot of grad school data. Nice and simple, created right here in Google Slides using Google Sheets. You can do something very similar in Microsoft PowerPoint using Microsoft Excel. Let's look at, in fact, let's scoot down here to a Miami Circle High School and look at a PowerPoint report that I've built out right here in PowerPoint. Started off just by changing the slide size, okay? And then showcasing some data for the Library Commons, which is just a test data set here, okay? So again, we have a great report, okay, where we're able to give background for the media program at Miami Circle, a little circulation data, and again, just building out a very attractive data visualization dashboard right here in the slide, okay? And so it doesn't have to be hard. And once you create these data visualizations, you can use them as templates. You can simply take them, and then I'm going to make a copy here. I'm going to duplicate my slide. And let's say the next time that I sit down to convey my data, I want to convey a different set of data. All I have to do is really move this here. I'm going to take this one and move it to the side into my workspace. And it's just a matter then of moving my rectangles around and finding a new configuration. Okay. Finding a new configuration, and I can maybe move this rectangle down here. Okay. And then I know that I'll take this graph and move it up here. So it's possible to have data visualizations that you simply make into templates and reuse every single month. And you can flip them and really just use the same type of setup each month to make it very, very simple for yourself. Again, it doesn't have to be difficult. Do-it-yourself data on a dime can be quick and easy. And then I want to share one more Two more things if I can. A lot of us know that we are in an increasingly graphic world, and we want to convey some data using graphics. And you'll see here that I have not only imported the mascot or the insignia, but I've also included a white graphic here to go along with a quote that's going to support my data story. And this white graphic came from nounproject.com, a free site that educators can use to create and pull down graphics and icons, that's the word I was looking for, in any color that they need. You can put in your custom pixel numbers and it will make them the special color that you want. I do pay for nounproject.com. I pay the $40 a year because I don't want to have to attribute this. I don't want to have to put in here that the icons came from Noun Project. They do ask us to attribute, but again, it is a free service. It's fantastic. And just by creating some squares, some shapes right here in Google Shapes, in Google Slides, filling it with my color, and then using two different fonts, a large font, which is Lucky Guy, and then a smaller font, my favorite font on earth, Comic Sans. I'm able to convey some really important data, an icon here from Noun Project, and a quote to support this data story about the university graduates school. Then lastly, the last thing I want to show is the idea of a quick and dirty cheat. You don't have to create all of your graphs from scratch. We have access to so much data. When we are looking at student engagement, when we're looking at teacher engagement, we're looking at student learning, when we're trying to decide if the products that we've chosen, the tools and the resources are giving us our best return on investment, we already have many, many data sources. You can go to your LMS, you can go to the tools that you are paying for. They will typically give you data outputs. And then all you have to do is take snips and screenshots of these. This is a quick and dirty cheat. I did not create any of these graphs here. All I did was snip them. Okay, so watch this. This right here is actually an image. It's not a real chart. So I went into the tool that I was using and I pulled up my snipping tool. Okay, Microsoft snipping tool, native to all window machines. I know that Mac has something similar. And then I just snipped the graph that I needed, created an image of it, and then you can just paste it wherever you need. That's what Microsoft Snip does, is it creates a very specific snip of a graph. And then right here in Google, I can add a fun line around it. Just click the pencil, and then I can create a colorful line, which is what I did, to again make these very attractive and visual. So all I did here was take a snip and add a yellow line. Take a snip, add a peach colored line. Take a snip, add a turquoise line, okay? So a quick and dirty cheat is to use the resources that we already have, that data about circulation, that data about usage, that data about the assessment data, the learning data, any of that, and just do a quick snip and place them together attractively in a slide, okay? And so, again, that's a quick and dirty cheat.
That's so wonderful. Oh,
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
okay.
And again, I just want everyone to know that we don't have to start from scratch. It's especially in times like these where we are just in data overload. We can create quick and easy, attractive data visualizations, which allow us to set a plan, which allow us to stop and look for patterns and trends and tell our own particular story. And so whether we're using levels of participation, whether we're looking at equity metrics, whether we're looking at whether key tools and resources are being fully utilized, feedback, looking at our instructional supports, we can tell our own story, creating our own quick data visualizations. I also wanted to say, Dr. L, I almost forgot, that maybe you don't have a data source yet to convey the data that you're trying to create. Remember that you can use Microsoft Forms or Google Forms or Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey to put together a survey tool, send out to your stakeholders, send out to your target audience, get that information in, and then begin your own data story.
Yeah, and then there's other free and inexpensive programs,
Yes.
such as Lookerstudio or
Yes.
Microsoft DI or
Power BI. Yes.
yeah. And you mentioned visuals. Where was that source?
The icons and graphics, Noun Project.com.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
So go ahead.
yes, and Snip, Microsoft Snip was the tool
Right.
that I used to snip and take pictures of graphs that already exist.
Right. I'm saying to viewers of this presentation, you're going to want to watch this presentation 2 or 3 times to just get a grasp of how simple it is to take a body of data that already exists, and you only have 5 minutes to make a point, to a board or a group of parents, and just an effective visual. And then you can talk it just through quickly and they get it, right? That's the whole thing.
And so, wonderful thing, let me add, Dr. L, when you were talking that through, I remembered that the wonderful thing about creating these in Microsoft PowerPoint or creating these in Google Slides is that it's truly collaborative. You and I could work together to create a digital dashboard. The team, the literacy team, the tech team, the early childhood team can work together to create. Each person maybe could work on one slide. It's truly collaborative. You can work together in real time. Same thing with Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. You've been working together in there and you could have access. Multiple people could have access at the same time. So it's a great time and place to collaborate, to create truly moving data visualizations.
I was just thinking too that one thing teacher librarians can do with as they partner with teachers is to teach this to students themselves who are making a lot of presentations, and they just put up a bunch of words on the screen and they don't know how, and yet it's so easy for them to learn to communicate. What do you think about that?
I think this would be awesome, especially for students who are doing research, students who are doing any sort of projects, problem-based learning, project-based learning. I think it lends itself very well to that because I've had students who are trying to show graphs. They don't necessarily know what the graph is. They don't necessarily know the story around it. But if they took time to create a data story, drag those graphs in, put in a little textual data, they would have a greater understanding on it, be more impactful in their projects.
Yeah. So our audience is often superintendents and principals and boards of education. What's your for those groups? What is your message to them if they want to ask their various professionals in the school to design such data impact?
Okay. Well, just help them choose their data sources wisely, keeping equity and inclusion at the heart, of course. Right. Hone these down to the strongest evidence to support the story that you're trying to tell. And, I want to say that it's okay to point out areas where work still needs to be done as well, because that's often part of the story, right? And so superintendents and principals can create the stories, or they can have the educators that they support with do this. And again, we want to point out the strengths and areas that also need work. And then if they don't have those data vehicles, they can create them. And I want them to know that these can be shared, these can be archived, they can be saved for years and years. They can, with a link, you can simply send them out to your constituents, send them out to your stakeholders. You can place them in your monthly newsletters with a link. It's just fantastic. You can then take a screenshot of the data dashboard and place it wherever it needs to be placed. So useful, so helpful, and really timely and relevant to the work that's going on in schools right now.
That's wonderful. Talk to us about your bottom line and all this work that you've done so very well.
Thank you. Well, the bottom line is we need to remember that because of the way the human brain processes information, using charts and graphs to visualize large amounts of data is actually very, very helpful. And it's easier than poring over spreadsheets and such. Remember that the ultimate goal should focus on student learning, student engagement, okay? And we should hopefully be telling stories about that, because I truly believe, again, that student engagement is an equity issue, okay? And that ties so strongly to learning. Our students are inundated with so many things right now. We're going through so many things, but let's work out ways to tell stories that support them. Lastly, we talk a lot about student engagement. We talk a lot about student choice, but let's stop and see what our patterns illustrate about teacher engagement. Okay, because teacher engagement, I believe, to be equally important. Again, we want to tell stories that are going to support the awesome work that's being done by the educators in our institutions, in our schools, in our buildings. I'm excited to help people tell those stories. Lastly, I'd like to end on a quote from Sir Ken Robinson, who did some great work with schools and students. And he said that, we talk a lot about the dropout rate. We focus a lot on the dropout rate, but what the dropout rate doesn't tell us and can't talk about are those students who stay in school, who sit in the chairs, but who are totally disengaged and who don't get anything from school. And so we need to focus an equal amount of effort that we do on dropout and retention on working with and engaging the students, and now especially, the educators in our building, focusing on teacher engagement and student engagement. And again, those are equity issues.
You are so wonderful. What a gift to those who are watching this, and I'm sure they'll agree. I just want to say thank you 100 times for your wisdom, your ability to communicate, and to help so many professionals who are struggling to tell their stories, and in ways that really demonstrate their value in the school. And I think again emphasize that students can do this also, and
Yes,
their
yes,
own.
yes.
So I'm going to say goodbye and thank you.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to have been asked to join today and share and talk about simple do-it-yourself data visualizations and telling your own story. Thank you so much for allowing me to come in and chat today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.